start us?
Yeah, I started with the injury updates on Isaiah right hip, just got hit on his hip. Sounds like he'll be day to day again. Nothing from his surgery, his previous injury history. So it's just an unlucky spot. Jalen played 5-on-5 today. Again, we'll see how he responds to that. Then just Dylan was a lower day today, just as he works back into it. So he'll continue to be day to day, but there's some progress there, and now we're on to the Spurs.
So Jalen Dillon not playing tomorrow?
Yeah, I think a little bit of that. Again, we'll see how he responds. So Jalen did take a big step, obviously. It was full court before practice. So that part is good. Again, he'll have to take a look tonight after this and into tomorrow. Tomorrow's a little funky with the 6 o'clock start, so no shoot around. But yeah, he'll get work before in the morning. So
It's just hearing what you said, it sounds like Jalen closer to playing than Dillon.
Dwayne, at this point, man, we're going to keep it, on to as best we can, keep those guys moving in the right direction. But Jalen got in 5-on-5 today, so that's a good sign.
When you look at Wembanyama, what are the no-nos that you just cannot give him? I mean, it's going to be tough enough to guard him anyway. What are the no-nos?
Yeah, that's a tough question. Can't guard him one-on-one in the paint, so you obviously got to keep him out of the paint. I think that overall group of how they play, they're downhill in the paint, put pressure on the rim team. Starts with him. Starts with them in transition. Starts with him in the half court. We have to show them bodies, and then on the glass, we're gonna have to have multiple bodies in there to try to help on the glass. They're a good offensive rebounding team.
The reason I ask is because Ryan yesterday was like, I'm not backing down from that matchup. And when you have guys mentally like that, but when you're facing someone that needs extra attention, how do you separate the two of, okay, Ryan, we understand you want to guard this guy, but don't do this alone for a game like this.
I think the big piece is don't foul him. He's getting to the foul line at a lot higher rate. He's a hard guy to get to his ball when he shoots it because it's so high. I think that's where mistakes happen. You start fouling him on jump shots when there's no chance of you getting to his ball anyways. There'll be multiple guys. You know how the flow of the game plays. He'll have an initial matchup. As you start getting into some screens, you get into transition. We'll have multiple guys on him, and we'll have hopefully a coverage for where he catches it, what we want to do and what we want to try to take away.
Coach, the more that Devin gets swarmed and draws two to the ball, Mark's going to have pockets to make short roll reads. Just what are you seeing from his processing speed? Obviously coming from Charlotte, playing with LaMelo, a guard that also got downhill a lot.
Yeah, he's got high level IQ, touch, size, obviously. It's a little bit of both. You start putting two on the ball, hopefully can play through him, or we advance it to put him in closeouts. They changed their pick and roll coverage multiple times last night. They changed it from game one to last night. It's on everyone. It's on not only the ball handler to address what the pick and roll defense is doing, the 5-man for sure, the screener that's getting into it, and then everyone else off the ball, we react to how the defense guards us. So it's a 5-man offensive unit, but obviously the ball handler and the guy in the screen have a huge role in how we attack pick and roll defense.
Coach, obviously Book had a night, went off, but Grayson Allen, just what did you see from him and even that block that he had on Kessler?
Yeah, multiple blocks. Yeah, that's the low man, one in the first half, one in the second. One is a steal, I guess. But yeah, right spot, willing to put his body in there, even if he has a couple inches yet to get to. Yeah, it's not surprising. It's how he plays to win. And then we're going to need him. At times, again, he got in the paint, I thought, at times last night. In crucial moments, he was able to get a thrust downhill into the paint and then made plays. A great spray out going left. But yeah, we're going to need him on both ends, 30-plus minutes a night, as hard as he can possibly play.
Jordan, you look at your empty pick and rolls to the other side of trips. How are you having conversations with your guys about what to look for as far as how to manipulate that with how teams try to overload with their low man?
We got Utah a couple of times the first game and not as much last night, so they obviously adjusted. It's predicated on how they play at the pick and roll, at the point of the screen. But yeah, I think there's a lot more to add in that specific action. It looks slightly different where I was last season to where it is now. But yeah, I think we have multiple options coming off that empty pick and roll, open corner pick and roll. And with how aggressive teams have been with Book, if you're going to be aggressive at the point of the screen, they're going to have someone take the roller. If they do take away the roller, then hopefully on the weak side we can find a look. So we have multiple looks out of it based on how they play us.
And then obviously you started using the double big against Utah earlier this week. Get to a couple practices and in the game yesterday. It feels like on the offensive side they're getting to a point where they're like on the cusp of starting to really create advantages. What did you see from that in yesterday's game, and how have you kind of assessed the growth there?
Yeah, I hope so, because it's a defensive lineup, and that, you got to win the possessions that you're out there against the other team by a point. We got to really play defense there. We got to rebound on both ends. It's hard to get to the paint when you're playing with two bigs. At times it's hard to get to the paint, so we're trying to figure out, can Oso handle a little bit more? Does that open up the space? Where we're moving out on the perimeter, can we cut? Can we play through a roll a little bit, cut? Practice reps are tough right now, especially with an earlier game tomorrow. But yeah, we're going to continue to explore, see what happens. Kind of liked it overall. But yeah, I think there's a ways to go, definitely more ways to go offensively than where we're at. But hopefully we see some progress, especially this week with some different challenges, looking ahead.
I think Colin is shooting 40% from three on 7 attempts a game. Just what are you seeing from the aggression level there, and do you want him to take even more?
Yeah, just be aggressive. If that leads to shots, great. If it leads to him playmaking, great. Again, that's another guy that can get downhill. We play a ton of pick and roll with him. He wanted to play fast. He's kind of like the second unit energizer. Play as fast as you possibly can, under control. You can create the domino without the pick and roll, or if you need a pick and roll, get downhill. I think he's got a great connection with multiple of his teammates, whether that's a big or small. So, yeah, he's been fantastic.
Looking at Mark, you've had him on target minutes, but now he's played multiple games. Is that number going up?
Yeah, that's where it's trending for sure. Again, we're going to be smart. We know it's an 82-game season. It's going to continually be a talking point with our group. Again, based on how he played that night, like physically, and how he feels the next day. So, ideally, yeah, it continues to go up to where it's lifted. And but we're going to be pretty strategic in how we use them, because we want them healthy, want them to play game after game after game. So yeah, it's something we've definitely been talking through.
It's not a back-to-back upcoming.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm curious, how much is that helping?
Totally. That's a big piece to it. I think it's the end of November. I think that's our only back-to-back, or the next back-to-back. So that's definitely helpful in all this.
Have you seen over the last 4 games the half-court defense just kind of shift? It feels like it's sustained at a high level. What are you kind of seeing, and what are you kind of teaching to keep that sustained?
I think since the Denver game was tough. Utah. Definitely this Utah had more juice than the last Utah. It's our aggression level. It starts with that. Our level of pickup, our aggression level, how physical we can be without going overboard and putting them to the free throw line. So we've definitely taken steps, but we know there's challenging tests ahead, starting with tomorrow into next week. It's just every game looks different. Tomorrow you have someone that's different. And you got Golden State, that is different. So how quickly we can teach and learn and grasp what we're trying to do is definitely key in this early part of the season.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.